All members, please come to the floor. Good Wednesday morning. Good to see you all this morning. Because the hour of convening haven't arrived, all members will please come to the floor. All members come to the floor and take your seats. Mr. Clerk, will you ring the bell? Well, good morning again. We're going to have the morning roll call. Morning roll call. All members present will please vote green to signify their presence in the chamber. Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machines? All members voted. Have all members voted? All members voted? If so, Mr. Clerk, will you lock the machines? Doorkeepers, will you please close the doors and keep them closed? As is our custom, we will begin our day with scripture reading and prayer by our chaplain, after which we will pledge allegiance to the flag of our country. Our chaplain this morning will be introduced by the gentleman from the 48th House District, Representative Scott Hilton. Chairman Hilton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Information and Audit, sorry, that's the wrong thing. Hold on. Good morning, colleagues. God is good. Amen. The Hebrew word for peace is shalom, and with 2 days remaining in the legislative session, there is no better person to bring us some shalom than Rabbi Hershey Minkowitz. I'll say he shared with me in his house they have 11 children. So I'm guessing he has very little shalom in his house, but he's going to bring some to this house today. In the summer of 1998, Rabbi Hershey Minkowitz was sent to Alpharetta by the Chabad movement. Lady from the 51st, I'm getting a thumbs up. Thank you. A subsection of the Orthodox Jews to establish a Jewish worship and educational center for the growing Jewish community in North Fulton. Rabbi Hershey, as he's affectionately known, leads the Chabad of North Fulton until this day. Their center has become a primary address where Jews of all walks of life and religious backgrounds gather for Jewish enrichment and inspiration. Colleagues, please join me in welcoming Rabbi Hershey.
Thank you. Good morning. A friend of mine recently told me that he took one of those private space tours to go see the moon. And when he came back, he told me, would you believe it? They even have a restaurant out there. I asked him, how was the food? He said the food was delicious, but the atmosphere was terrible. I hope you won't mind if I'm going to give you a brief 2-minute spiel about the moon. I'm not an astronomer. That was not in the bio that Representative Hilton just read. It's just that next weekend we're going to be celebrating Passover. On April 12th, the Jewish community is going to be celebrating Passover. Interestingly, last year in 2024, Passover began on April 24th, 12 days later than this year. And in 2023, Passover began on April 5th. So why is that so? Why does it fluctuate? In fact, let me just quickly tell you the last 5 years since 2020 and see if you can detect a pattern. 2020, Passover started April 8th. 21, March 27th. 22, April 15th. 23, April 5th. 24, April 24th. And this year, April 12th. Every year, Passover gets 11 or 12 days earlier than the year before. And then every 2 or 3 years, it gets set back a month ahead. Why is that? Well, in the book of Exodus, chapter 12, just before the Jews were leaving Egypt, God told the Israelites that from that point forward, they would begin keeping their calendar based on the cycle of the moon. Every month when a new moon appears, it's a new month. Passover is always going to be on the 15th day of the first month when the moon is the fullest. And then in Exodus chapter 13, verse 4, as the Jews are leaving the shackles of bondage behind, God says to them, and I quote, "Today you are going out in the month of spring." Rather than focusing on the name of the month, God is focused on the season, the fact that we're going out in the spring. So much so that later in Deuteronomy, just before the Israelites are about to enter into the promised land, God gives them a very firm reminder about how important it is to keep the holiday of Passover in the month of spring. Deuteronomy 16:1, "You shall keep the month of spring and make the Passover offering to the Lord your God, for in the month of spring the Lord your God brought you out of Egypt." Sounds easy enough. However, there's just one small problem, and that's why the holiday date varies every single year. You see, the lunar calendar, the calendar that goes according to the cycle of the moon, has 354 days, 11 days less than a solar calendar of 365 days. So every year, Passover is going to get 11 days earlier and 11 days earlier. But hold on a second. God told the Jewish people that they have to keep the Passover in the spring. How is that possible if every year it gets 11 days earlier? So after a few months, Passover would end up being in the winter, and then in the fall, and then in the summer, until it came back around again to the spring. Therefore, the Jewish calendar has a very complicated system where every few years we add a leap year, but not a leap year like in the regular calendar where it's one extra day. We add a full month. We end up with a year that has 13 months in a leap year instead of 12. All for this one reason, because Passover always has to be in the spring. So the million-dollar question, and that will be the entry point into our prayer today, is why? Why did God care so much that Passover should always fall in the spring, to the point that we tinker with our calendar to make sure that it stays in the spring, that the holiday of liberation should be always in the spring? Well, I'd like to ask you all to rise for prayer now as we pray and reflect on this idea of the spring. Mr. Speaker and the esteemed members of the Georgia State House, our Father in heaven is teaching us something extremely important about freedom and liberty, the foundations upon which our great republic was founded. What does the spring represent? Honorable Speaker and esteemed members of the House, as we gather today in this chamber, I offer a reflection rooted in the spirit of renewal and hope that comes with the season of spring and the observance of Passover. Passover, a time of remembrance and freedom, invites us to reflect on the journey of the Israelites from bondage to liberation. It is a season that marks not only the liberation of people, but also the renewal of life itself. Just as the plants awaken from their winter rest in the spring, blossoming into vibrant new growth, so too can we embrace the opportunity to renew our commitments to justice, peace, and the well-being of our people. Spring reminds us that from the coldest and darkest of times, life finds a way to bloom again. It is a time to sow seeds of kindness, compassion, and progress for the future. Just as the earth comes alive with new growth, let us also plant the seeds of positive changes in our hearts and in our work, nurturing them with wisdom and care. So let us pray that we, in our roles as leaders and servants of the people, draw inspiration from this season of renewal, embracing the promise of new beginnings and the hope that each day offers. Let this time of Passover remind us of our shared humanity, our capacity for transformation, and our duty to lift up those in need. May our work in this house be guided by the spirit of liberation, renewal, and growth, and may it bear fruit for the prosperity and peace for all Georgians. Amen. And now please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi Hirschby. We appreciate your presence here with us and appreciate your service to your community and to the state. And thank you for that lesson this morning.
Thank you.
We're all about history in this historical place here, and we're looking forward to a wonderful Passover. Doorkeepers, you may unlock the doors. Members, you may join the rabbi in the South Ante room for a photo, and thank him for his service to us here today. Members, our doctor of the day is brought to us on this Wednesday, on this 39th day, by Representative Sheila Jones. Dr. Kelly DeGraffin Reed, is downstairs in the aid station. If you need Dr. Graffin Reed's assistance, she'll be more than glad to help you. Thanks for serving with us today, Dr. Graffin Reed. Chairman Hilton, the chair of the Committee on Information Audits, is recognized. Chairman Hilton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Now's the right time. Your Committee on Information Audits has read the journal the previous legislative day, and we have found it to be correct.
Chairman Hilton, the chair of the Committee of Information and Audits, reports that the journal of the previous legislative day has been read and found to be correct. Is there any objection to dispense with the reading of the journal? Hearing none, the reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there any objection to confirmation of the journal? Hearing none, the journal is confirmed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the resolution establishing the order of business for the day? Mr. Clerk.
Representative Administration of the 104th moves following be established as the order of business during the first part of the period. Unanimous consents. Introduction of bills and resolutions. First reading and reference of House bills and resolutions. Second reading of bills and resolutions. Reports of standing committees. Third reading of passage of uncontested local bills and resolutions. First reading and reference of Senate bills and resolutions. Warning orders.
Is there any objection to adopting the resolution establishing the order of business for the day? Hearing none, the resolution is adopted. Members, I have a mission for you if you don't want to hear first readers. So in the South Ante room, I just want to take a second to recognize there's a large poster there. As some of you came in the South Ante room, saw that poster. This poster is the official FIFA World Cup 2026 poster for the city of Atlanta and the great state of Georgia. Sometime this morning, if you're having a conversation, it would be a great time to do it right now. Please take a few seconds to go out in the South Ante room and sign the poster and grab a Sharpie out there, and you can be able to put your John Henry on that poster. So now would be an appropriate time. First reading the bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 883 by Representative Jaspers to the 11th. The bill be titled an act to amend Article 8A of Chapter 1 and Title 10 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to electric vehicle charging stations.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 884 by Representative Cannon of the 58th, Schofield of the 63rd, Hughley of the 141st, Bennett of the 94th, and Smith of the 18th. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 2A, Title 31 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the Department of Public Health.
Public and Community Health.
House Bill 885 by Representative Cannon of the 58th, Schofield of the 63rd, Parker of the 107th, Crawford of the 89th, Smith of the 18th. Bill be titled Act to amend Chapter 2A of Title 31 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the Department of Public Health.
Public and Community Health.
House Bill 886 by Representative Evans of the 57th, Bazemore of the 69th, Miller of the 62nd, Schofield of the 63rd, Cannon of the 58th. Bill be titled Act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 50 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions regarding state government.
Public and Community Health.
House Bill 887 by Representative Stevens of the 164th, Saints of the 180th, Hitchens of the 161st, and Ballard of the 147th. Bill be titled Act to amend Chapters 14 and 41 of the Title 43 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to electrical contractors. House Bill 886 by Representative Evans of the 57th, Bazemore of the 69th, Miller of the 62nd, Schofield of the 63rd, and Cannon of the 58th. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 50 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions regarding state government.
Governmental Affairs.
House Bill 887 by Representative Stevens of the 164th, Saints of the 180th, Hitchens 161st, and Ballard of the 147th. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 14 and 41 of Title 43 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to electrical contractors, plumbers, and air conditioner contractors.
Regulated Industries.
House Bill 888 by Representative Carpenter IV. A bill be titled an act to amend Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to education.
Higher Education.
House Bill 889 by Representative Sanchez of the 42nd, Parker of the 107th, Santos of the 117th, Berry the 56th, and Adenia of the 110th, and others. A bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 35 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions regarding law enforcement officers.
Public Safety and Homeland Security.
Public House Bill 890 by Representative Carson of the 46th, Martin of the 49th, Blackman of the 146th. Bill be titled Act to amend Code Section 4883 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to exemptions from sales and use taxes.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 891 by Representative Williams, the 148th, Hatchett, the 155th, Carson, the 46th, Meeks, the 178th, Rhodes, the 124th, and others. Bill be titled Act to amend Article 10 of Chapter 2 of Title 47 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to Georgia State Employees Pension and Savings Plan.
Retirement.
House Bill 892 by Representative Holcomb of the 101st, Buckner 137th, Miller of the 62nd, Evans the 57th, and Barrett of the 24th. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 24A of Title 43 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated related to massage therapy practice.
Regulated Industries.
House Bill 893 by Representative Hilton of the 48th, Jones of the 47th, Ballard of the 147th, Rice of the 139th, Dubnik of the 29th. The bill be titled Act to amend Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to education.
Education.
House Bill 894 by Representative Holcomb of the 101st and Blackman of the 146th. The bill be titled Act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 10 of Title 17 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to procedure for sentencing and imposition of punishment.
Judiciary Non-Civil.
House Bill 895 by Representative Stinson of the 150th. The bill be titled Act to amend Chapter 6 and Title 47 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the Georgia Legislative Retirement System.
Retirement.
House Resolution 882 by Representative Hatchett of the 155th, a resolution proposing an amendment to the Constitution.
Ways and Means.
House Resolution 883 by Representative Stevenson, 164th, Gamble of the 15th, Seaball of the 34th, Clark of the 100th, Saints of the 180th, and others. A resolution creating a House Study Committee on making Georgia the #1 state for tourism.
Economic Development and Tourism.
House Resolution 884 by Representative Gaines of the 120th, Jaspers of the 11th, Hilton of the 48th, Green of the 154th, and Dempsey of the 13th. A resolution urging increased state autonomy to allow for certain creation of innovative solutions.
Special Rules.
That completes first readers.
Second reading the bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 874 by Representative Huddleston of the 72nd, Chastain of the 7th, Fleming of the 114th, Jones of the 25th, McCollum of the 30th. A bill relating to general provisions relative to ad valorem taxation of property. House Bill 875 by Representative Flournoy of the 74th, Howard of the 129th, Beckles of the 96th, Santos of the 117th, Neal of the 79th, and others. A bill relating to dispossessory proceedings. House Bill 876 by Representative Flournoy of the 74th, Dawson of the 65th, Jones of the 143rd, Herring of the 145th, Fry of the 122nd. A bill relating to landlord and tenant. House Bill 877 by Representative Jackson of the 68th, Bazemore of the 69th, Bonner of the 73rd, Mathiak of the 82nd. A bill to provide a new charter for the city of Fayetteville. House Bill 878 by Representative Bennett of the 94th, Scoggins of the 14th, Hughley of the 141st, Hawkins of the 27th, Cooper of the 45th, and others. A bill relating to holidays and observances. House Bill 879 by Representative Parsons of the 44th, Barton of the 5th, McCollum of the 30th, Powell of the 33rd, Scoggins of the 14th, and others. A bill relating to duty of driver of vehicle meeting or overtaking school bus, reporting a violations, civil monetary penalty for violations captured by school bus camera. House Bill 880 by Representative Blackman of the 146th, Kelly of the 16th, Stevens of the 164th, Newton of the 127th, Martin of the 49th, and others. A bill relating to imposition rate computation exemptions, credits relative to income taxes, and management of budgetary and financial affairs. House Bill 881 by Representative Campbell of the 35th, Hughley of the 141st, Jones of the 60th, Roberts of the 52nd, Mitchell of the 88th. The bill relating to holidays and observances. House Bill 882 by Representative Huddleston of the 72nd, Anderson of the 10th, Dickey of the 134th, Lim of the 98th. A bill relating to landscape architects. House Bill 896 by Representative Clark of the 100th, Dubnik of the 29th, Hawkins of the 27th, Cox of the 28th, Hong of the 103rd, and others. A bill to authorize the governing authority of Hall County to levy an excise tax. House Resolution 859 by Representative Lim of the 98th, Lupton of the 83rd. A resolution creating a House Study Committee on inclusive educational settings for students with disabilities. House Resolution 885 by Representative Anderson of the 10th, Thomas of the 21st, Fleming of the 114th, Levert of the 123rd. Resolution creating the House Study Committee on election procedures. House Resolution 886 by Representative Saines of the 180th, a resolution honoring the life of Miss Rachel Hodge, dedicating an intersection in her memory. House Resolution 887 by Representative Blackman of the 146th and Irwin of the 32nd. Resolution creating a House Study Committee on reducing and prioritizing mandates for public school administration. Senate Bill 352 by Senator Williams of the 25th, Anderson of the 24th. A bill to provide a homestead exemption from Jasper County School District ad valorem taxes. Senate Bill 356 by Senator Anavarti of the 31st. A bill to provide a homestead exemption from Polk County School District ad valorem taxes. Senate Bill 358 by Senator Jones of the 10th, Harold of the 40th, Mangum of the 55th, Anderson of the 43rd, Parents of the 44th, and others. A bill to amend an act revising, superseding, consolidating the laws relating to the governing authority of DeKalb County and creating a chairman and board of commissioners for said county. Senate Bill 359 by Senator Jones of the 10th, Davenport of the 17th, Strickland of the 42nd, Williams of the 25th. A bill to amend an act to provide a new board of commissioners for Henry County. Through second readers.
Okay, members, if you'll come to your desk. We do have a local calendar this morning. But I guess we'll do committee reports where we do a local calendar. Trying to get their attention, Mr. Clerk, which has been a little bit difficult this morning. Okay, Mr. Clerk, if you're ready, we'll have reports of standing committees. Mr. Clerk, will you read?
Representative Chris Irwin of the 32nd District, Chairman of the Committee on Education, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Education has had under its consideration the following bills and resolutions of the House and Senate. And it's reported the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Resolution 887 do pass. House Senate Bill 179 do pass by substitute. House Resolution 711 do pass. Senate Bill 152 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Chris Irwin of the 32nd District, Chairman. Representative Hawkins of the 27th District, Chairman of the Committee on Health, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Health has had under its consideration the following bills of the Senate. It has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. Senate Bill 91 do pass by substitute. Senate Bill 39 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Hawkins of the 27th District, Chairman. Representative Jesse Petrie of the 166th District, Chairman of the Committee on Human Relations and Aging, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Human Relations and Aging has had under its consideration the following resolution of the House. It has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Resolution 816 do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Jesse Petrie of the 166th District, Chairman. Representative Beth Camp of the 135th District, Chairman of the Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination Local, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination Locals had under its consideration the following bills of the House and the Senate. It instructed me to report same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 825 do pass. Senate Bill 328 do pass. Senate Bill 329 do pass. Senate Bill 340 do pass. Senate Bill 344 do pass. Senate Bill 345 do pass. Senate Bill 347 do pass. Senate Bill 336 do pass. Senate Bill 355 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Beth Camp of the 135th District, Chairman. Representative Tyler Paul Smith of the 18th District, Chairman of the Committee on Judiciary Non-Civil, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Judiciary Non-Civil has had under its consideration the following bills of the Senate. It has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. Senate Bill 218 do pass by committee substitute. Senate Bill 268 do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Tyler Paul Smith of the 18th District, Chairman. Representative Sharon Cooper, the 45th District, Chairman of the Committee on Public and Community Health, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Public and Community Health has had under its consideration the following bills and resolutions of the House and the Senate. It has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendation. House Resolution 304 do pass. House Resolution 593 do pass. House Resolution 847 do pass by committee substitute. Senate Bill 101 do pass by committee substitute. Senate Bill 185 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Sharon Cooper of the 45th District, Chairman. Representative Hagan of the 156th District, Chairman of the Committee on Rural Development, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Rural Development has had under its consideration the following resolution to the House. It has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Resolution 753 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Hagan of the 156th District, Chairman. Representative Jones of the 25th District, the Committee of Technology, Infrastructure, Innovation, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Technology and Infrastructure Innovations had under its consideration following resolution of the House. It has instructed me to report same back to the House with the following recommendation. House Resolution 817 do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Jones of the 25th District, Chairman. Representative Rick Jaspers of the 11th District, Chairman on Committee on Transportation, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Transportation has had under its consideration the following resolutions to the Senate. It has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. Senate Resolution 8 to pass by committee substitute. Senate Resolution 231 to pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Rick Jaspers of the 11th District, Chairman. That completes the reading of the reports of standing committees.
All right, members, you may want to get closer to your seats. We're going to take up the local calendar. We'll take up the local calendar. Okay, members, 2 bills on the local calendar relate to homestead exemption and will require a 2/3 roll call vote for passage. Third reading and passage of uncontested local bills. For what purpose does Chair Lady Camp rise?
To make a motion.
State your motion.
I make a motion to remove from the local calendar Senate Bill 336 and Senate Bill 555 and send them back to the Intergovernmental Coordination Committee.
Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption?
Senate Bill 336 by Senator Moore of the 53rd, Dade County. Senate Bill 355 by Senator Anna Duarte of the 31st, Paulding County.
On the lady's motion that Senate Bill 336 and Senate Bill 355 be recommitted to the Intergovernmental Coordination Committee. Is there objection? Hearing none, it is so ordered. For what purpose does Chairman Crow rise?
To make a motion.
State your motion.
I move that House Bill 825 be removed from the local calendar and voted on separately.
Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption?
House Bill 825 by Representative Washburn of the 144th, Monroe County.
On the gentleman's motion that we remove House Bill 825, that we pull 825 from the local calendar and vote it separate. Is there objection? Hearing none, it is so ordered. Mr. Clerk, we have a motion to remove House Bill 825 and move it separately and vote it separately. That's the motion. For what purpose does Chairman Crow rise?
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to withdraw my previous motion to remove House Bill 825 from the local calendar.
The gentleman's motion is so granted. He's withdrawn his motion to remove House Bill 825 from the local calendar. For what purpose does Chair Lady Camp rise?
To make a motion,
State your motion.
I move to remove House Bill 825 from the local calendar and remit it back to the Intergovernmental Coordination Committee.
Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to House Bill 825?
House Bill 825 by Representative Washburn of the 144th Monroe County.
On the lady's motion, the House Bill 825 be recommitted to the Intergovernmental Coordination Committee. Is there objection? Hearing none, it is so ordered. If there is no objection, we will vote on the local calendar as a whole with a recorded vote. Hearing none, it is so ordered. Mr. Clerk, let me get this quiet down just a little bit. This local calendar is important to a few people in here, so if you're having conversation, you take it to the ante room. Mr. Clerk, will you read the local calendar?
Senate Bill 328 by Senator Strickland of the 42nd Henry County. Senate Bill 329 by Senator Strickland of the 42nd Flint Judicial Circuit. Senate Bill 340 by Senator Watson of the 1st City of Tybee Island. Senate Bill 344 by Senator Kennedy of the 18th Crawford County. Senate Bill 345 by Senator Kennedy of the 18th Crawford County. Senate Bill 347 by Senator Hodges III, Glenn County, City of Brunswick.
Okay, members, some of you were not listening earlier, so we pulled and sent back to committee Senate Bill 336, 355, and House Bill 825. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered on the local calendar? Hearing none, the previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bills? Hearing none, the report of the committee is agreed to. Shall these bills now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bills on the local calendar, absent those three I just mentioned, will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machines? Have all members voted? All members voted. If so, Mr. Clerk, will you lock the machine? On the passage of the local calendar, the yeas are 168, the nays are 0. This vote is without House Bill 825, Senate Bill 336, and 355. These bills have received the requisite constitutional majority and they are therefore passed. Okay, members, we have a whole slew of morning orders. Yeah, we could be here till lunchtime with morning orders, but here's our posture. The red light won't be a warning. The red light will be a cutoff. So I strongly encourage you to recognize these good people that in the gallery that are here celebrating with us today, and welcome. We appreciate you all being here. Members, you're going to have 45 seconds. 45 seconds. That's a big 4 and a big 5. 45 seconds. red light will go off, and then your microphone will go off. I'm going to give you the list, a couple of folks. Representative Oliver, you're recognized to begin our morning orders. Representative Schofield, Representative Berry, you are on deck. Let's make sure they're going to give you your attention just for a moment. Okay, members, that South Annie room is wide open, so if you're on the floor and you need to have conversation,
Oh, good. Here you go.
take it out to the South Annie room or the front door. Or we're going to pause. If the lady will suspend until we get attention. We have guests here, so let's give them the proper attention. Representative Oliver is recognized for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Crawford and I are happy to recognize Decatur Presbyterian Church that was founded in 1825, 3 years after the United States signed a treaty with the Indians. It has been a founder of kindergarten, a founder of Sunday school for DeKalb County. It is a leading entity in our world of DeKalb County. We're very grateful to have them with us today. Thank you for all your service, including for the last 15 years, a Global Village School for International Teenage Girls, which initially was founded hundreds of years ago with Agnes Scott College. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Great to have you with us, and thank you for what you're doing in the community. Did they stand? Y'all want to stand so we can recognize you? Here they are to the left, Representative Oliver. Representative Schofield, she can talk fast. She's formerly from New York, but she's a Georgian now. The lady's recognized and friends.
Keep it moving, Kim. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I rise today in honor of exemplary leadership in this chamber. I'm recognizing it with House Resolution 738, contributions made by meteorologist and feature reporter Paul Milliken. Paul, stand up as I talk about you. Paul is so dedicated every day to making sure that he's promoting Georgia businesses, introducing Georgia's beautiful landscape, parks. I learned music, dance, cultural things because of Paul. Paul, you've made a great impact in our community, and you will forever be known in Georgia history. That's one. Okay. All right, thank you. Everybody stand up and give Paul a hand. You see him every day on Good Day Atlanta. All right, my next one is, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for that one. Colleagues, I actually want to tell you just a little bit story about this. I'm going to have Mr. Eric Schrader from Atlanta, Atlanta News First, to stand up and be recognized. Several years ago, I started a program called Pledge of Allegiance. And listen up, because this is for you. Every day on CBS Atlanta, we highlight elementary schools that are doing the Pledge of Atlanta 3 times in the morning. And I started this, and we launched it in November, and it's been going to the end of the year. So if you're interested in having your school, your students recite the Pledge of Allegiance, and it's featured on the TV, please let me know. Eric, where are you? Eric, thank you for you and your amazing team. We talk about ethics. We talk about civil. Thank you, Eric. Atlanta News First. Thanks a lot. Meet me in the ante room, guys. Let's take some pictures. Out of here, Mr. Speaker.
You did pretty good. Good to have y'all. You did good on that part. You didn't talk as fast as some other people I know from New York, but that's the ones. Representative Berry is recognized now. I want y'all to give the gentleman your special attention. Representative Collier, you're next, and then Representative Buckner.
All right, thank you.
Gentleman's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You all know I have no greater privilege than serving the people of District 56, but my greatest honor that I have in this life is being a teacher, and it is my great, great, great pleasure to welcome the mighty, mighty Wolfpack from Young Middle School, my class, to the Capitol today. That's my 7th graders. They are annoying and they smell, but we love them. And I'm inviting everyone in here today to join us in Capitol 230 at around noon for lunch with us. If you want to come down and meet my students, they're great. They won't bother you, I promise. They just bother me. But thank you all for being here today. Excited to welcome you all to the Capitol. Love you all. Thank you, Speaker.
Representative Gabriel Courier, recognized for a morning order. You can do it. Talk fast. Representative Courier and friends.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, I rise this morning to recognize a gentleman who is always there, come rain, come shine, cold or warm, greeting people, guiding them around, and helping the elderly go through the steps. He always gives you a smile, though you won't see it because he's so bearded, you don't see the smile. But ladies and gentlemen, where's Phil Looney? Can you please stand up? There's Phil. Can we recognize Phil? I have a resolution for you, Phil. Come on down to the anteroom for pictures. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Phil, you're a fixture, man. We appreciate you. Thank you for your goodwill. Representative Buckner, recognized for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On your desk, amongst all of the paper, is a thank you note. It may be the only one you get today, so be sure you look for it. This is from the people in Warm Springs, and they are very grateful for the state appropriation that was given back in 2022 to do the infrastructure of the pools. In the past, they could only be open on Memorial Day and on Labor Day, and now because they have been fixed, they will be able to be open from Memorial Day to Labor Day. So thank you for the public and private funding that helped give jobs to Georgia companies and Georgia workers to fix our very special historic pools in Warm Springs.
Warm Springs, a warm place to be, a beautiful place. Thanks to this House for supporting. Chairman Hilton is recognized for a morning order. Then we're going to have Pro Tem Jones and her team. I'll name them off when they come up. Chairman Hilton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to recognize head coach Keith Maloof, who recently retired after his retirement of nearly 40 years of head coaching. From 1999 to 2025, Coach Maloof was head coach at Norcross High School. Over the course, he never had a losing season. Him and his wife are up there in the gallery. Please recognize them. Give them a big round of applause. Keith Maloof, congratulations on your retirement. Come on down and join us for a picture. Thank you.
Welcome to the People's House. Speaker Pro Tem Jones, Representative Neal, Yasmin Neal, Representative Cooper, Representative Stevens, Representative Al Williams for a resolution.
Well, thank
Y'all
you.
will join the lady at the well.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Please join us in honoring for the 25th legislative session Wesley Nichols. It's his 25th year as a member of the Capitol Press Corps. He serves as lead Capitol photographer for Georgia Public Broadcasting lawmakers and has helped countless of us with coverage on the formation of laws throughout the legislative process. He personally knows many of you from his 2.5 decades of exclusive interviews, press conferences, and live hits, and we are thrilled to honor Wes on his quarter-century career milestone capturing Georgia politics. And Wes, we'd love to ask you to meet us in the anteroom so that we can have pictures with you. Thank you and congratulations.
Congratulations. You're joined down in the South Anteroom. Representative Trey Kelly is recognized for a morning order. Give the gentleman your attention, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I'm honored to get to welcome back to the Capitol the Cedartown High School game day cheerleaders. We're having them back, Mr. Speaker, because they are the back-to-back state champions for game day cheerleading. They're here with their coaches, Shay Dyer and Shannon Allen. They're up in the gallery. We're so proud of them in Cedartown, and so we just want to help welcome them to the Capitol. If y'all will stand and let us recognize you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Did you say state champions? Back to back. Congratulations. That's awesome. Proud of y'all. Thanks for being here with us. Representative Crawford is recognized for morning order, and I think he has some friends with him. Representative Crawford.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Friends, today I rise to support two different groups of athletes. As you know, I love sports because they bring communities together. But I'm here to represent people who have done amazing things breaking barriers. First, I'd like to acknowledge Drew Charter School for being the first all-black golf team to win a state championship in our state. Please stand and be recognized. And I would also like to recognize the parents of Pilar King, who was the first to win a gold medal in swimming, first black and also the first from Southwest DeKalb High School athlete. Fantastic. Thank you for breaking barriers. Guys, come and meet me in the ante room so we can take pictures. We're proud of you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Thank you, Representative Crawford. That's quite extraordinary. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate it. Representative Adenia is recognized. Do you have friends with you as well? Yes, you do. Representative Adenia and friends. Give the gentleman your attention, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, please extend the month, Women's Month to this month because there's so many women that have accomplished things and we don't have enough months in the year. I want to recognize, if she can please rise, Mrs. Ego Undukwe, who is the Chief Operating Officer of Another Chance Customized Services that provides disability services for people in our community. She also was on the Governor's Committee for Disabilities, and she also provides has a nonprofit in Nigeria that also provides support for people with disabilities. She is recognized and she's passionate about what she does, and I'd like to recognize her for this April month, Women's Month, and recognize her for the work she does. Thank you. Let's give her a big round of applause. Welcome to our house. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Welcome to the People's House. Representative Will Wade. Representative Wade and friends. You do have friends. I'm surprised.
I got a couple.
Yeah, you do. Gentleman's recognized.
Now they all went back to their seat. Just kidding. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, if you'll all rise, we have the honor today to recognize our friend. I'd like her to go and stand up. The Georgia Teacher of the Year for 2025, Miss Holly Witcher, White County at Testnetee Elementary School. She works with K through second grade, special needs children, and let me tell you, she loves being the Teacher of the Year to represent our state across this country. But she told me, and I got to hear her tell our First Lady and the Governor, she can't wait to see those children back in August. But we welcome you to the House and congratulate you on your excellence in education. God bless you. Thank you, colleagues. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Holly. Congratulations. What an achievement. Representative Reese and the Columbus delegation, Representative Teddy Reese and the Columbus delegation are recognized for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we are excited to have with us today Ms. Arisha Lawrence. If you would please stand while we acknowledge the Music and Entertainment Council, and we welcome to Columbus the inaugural Ma Fest. This fest is in recognition of Ma Rainey, who is from Columbus, Georgia, and will also recognize other women within the historical perspective of our musical history right here in the state of Georgia. We are very excited about Ma Fest. We are excited about Ms. Lawrence. We're leading us on this venture in Columbus, and we invite all of you to come to Columbus, Georgia, May 10th through the 11th for Ma Fest, where we are guaranteed to have a good time. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Representative Kendrick and friends. The lady is recognized for a morning order.
Good morning, colleagues. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is a great day in Georgia to recognize and commend the Atlantic Institute. Many of you may have went to their interfaith dinner that they had last month, but let me tell you a little bit about them. The Atlantic Institute is a Georgia-based nonprofit organization committed to fostering dialogue, education, and cultural understanding, and they promote mutual respect and peace by increasing public awareness of diverse cultures, beliefs, traditions, and perspectives. And through their many initiatives, the organization has had a significant and positive impact on these communities. So if they will stand up, or they're already standing up, if you could stand up and give them a round of applause and thank them for the work that they're doing here in the state of Georgia. If you can come down to the ante room so that we can take a picture with you, we'll have your resolution. But thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Holly is recognized, and friends, and Representative Bell, you're next.
All right, my Henry County folks, come on up here.
Henry County delegation.
Well, Mr. Speaker, day is the day the Lord has made. We shall rejoice and be glad in it, and have in our presence the wonderful students of Eagles Landing Christian Academy in the gallery. There they are. There we see you. Go and rise up. Thank you. We have Headmaster Dr. Curley, as well as our Region 5 athletics here. My colleagues, I know you all are busy, but if you love the Lord Jesus Christ and the good that he's doing at Elka, can you all rise and give a round of applause to these students? Thank you. You're well.
Representative Doreen Carter recognized for a morning order. Representative Carter.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. On Monday was the last day of Women's History Month, and we had some individuals that we wanted to honor, and we were not able to honor them Monday, but we wanted to acknowledge them today if they're in the gallery. We would ask Ms. Christine Conrado and Ms. Jade Gibbs if you all would stand. Okay, they're over there, yay! So these ladies are part of the Pocketbook Brigade. What they do is empower and teach women about how to best use and grow their money. Thank you, ladies, for being here. Thank you for what you do, because you all know I love financial education. So if you guys would, members, would you welcome the Pocketbook Brigade to the Georgia State Capitol? Thank you, I yield the well.
Representative Gaines is recognized for a morning order. Representative Houston Gaines. Give the gentleman your attention, please, members.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This morning, proud to recognize the North Oconee Titans basketball team that's here. They're back-to-back Class 4A state champions. Last two seasons have a record of 60-5. They beat Pace Academy 60-51, and the recent state championship. Over the last two seasons, 2 state titles, 2 region titles. We're honored to have the team, as well as athletic director, their head coach, and assistant coaches. If y'all wouldn't mind standing up, recognize, so we can recognize you. Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it. Congratulations.
Representative Park Cannon is recognized for a morning order. Representative Cannon. And friends.
Yes. Yep. All right. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today is Perinatal Provider Appreciation Day. We are honoring Michelle Riggs, if you will stand, on your retirement of 25 years of service to Wellstar as the Director of Women's Health, Education, and Patient and Support Services. We're honoring Dr. Paula on her work with the Spanish-speaking communities. Thank you for all that you do. And Dr. Bird for your studies on HPV and your expertise in minimally invasive gynecology. Thank you to the Small Talk team that is also here for all you do to provide for little ones to hear good stories while in the womb. It is also AMR Day at the Capitol. They have ambulances outside if you have not seen, and I would love to ask you to stand. Lance, Chris, Derek, thank you so much for all that you and your workers do for the emergencies in Georgia. Thank you to the birth responders. Thank you to the group that is over here as well. Please go visit them outside, and please come join us for a photo in the South Anteroom. Congratulations. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield.
Thank you, Representative. Great to have y'all. Thanks for what you do. Representative James Burchett. And friends, you have some Georgia Southern folks with you, Representative Burchett?
Yes, sir.
Whip Burchett be joined by his Georgia Southern folks. If you'll join Representative Burchett. The gentleman suspend.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Suspend just for a minute. Let's get some attention.
Thank you. Where's Brad at? Okay.
You have some friends from Georgia Southern who want to join you. I see one more.
He's coming down.
He forgot he graduated from Georgia Southern. Dean Green, didn't you graduate from Georgia Southern? Come on down then. It's been a day or two. Gentleman's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I have the great honor of introducing a Georgia Southern University clay target team who has, for the fourth time, won the national championship. In 5 years, this team has won 4 national championships under the leadership of a close person to me and my stepfather, Marty Fisher, has taken this team to San Antonio for 4 years and completely dominated the American clay, American sports, or overall, skeet shooting championship. I will say that out of 1,200 students, this team has had the opportunity to set an overall high record. I want to recognize some of these members on the team. Tate Skipper shot a 100 out of 100 in American skeet. Andrew Cohen shot 100 out of 100, high overall skeet champion. Blake Reed shot a perfect score in American trap, and Miss Cheyenne Anderson shot second overall. And they're in the gallery with us. I'd ask you all to stand up and be recognized for this high and great honor. National champions 4 years in a row, unprecedented, and that's just fantastic. Very much appreciate you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Burchett. 4 years in a row? Wow. Way to go, Georgia Southern. Y'all make us proud. We appreciate you. And to my dear friend, childhood friend, Marty Fisher, thanks for your great instruction and great leadership and your friendship over the years. Appreciate you all. Representative Bell, this will complete our morning orders. Representative Bell is recognized for a morning order. Gentleman will suspend just for a moment. Excuse me, had some friends joining him. If he'll suspend just for a minute. Members, but this is our last morning order, and then we have an invite resolution. So members, if you will come to the floor and important conversations need to go to the anteroom. Representative Bell.
Good morning, colleagues. It gives me a pleasure to announce that the Morehouse College Intercollegiate Boxing Team is the first HBCU to ever win the national championship. The team was started by Jacoby Bell in 2012 in the Purdue Hall lot. Often he would get chastised for doing so until Chief Prescott took it upon himself to be the first mentor and officially chartered the club. Through the years of hard work and loyal dedication, the Morehouse Boxing Club has been able to compete in the 2025 US IBA National Championship last week. Through a lot of adversity, we were able to leave the 2 belts earned from the national champions for Caleb Hudson and Elijah McLean. We would like to thank the USB, and there's my time. Also, we'd like to thank the members, Evan Stevenson, Olalie Galaya, Joshua Callahan, Elijah McQueen, Evan Sophia, and Breon Dupree. If they're in the chambers right now, can you please rise and give them a round of applause? They were here. They're moving a little slow. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Congratulations to them. Quite the accomplishment. Members, we have an invite resolution. So if I can have your attention for the gentleman I'm getting ready to recognize. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to resolution, House Resolution 878. Mr. Clerk.
House Resolution 878 by Representatives Wade of the 9th, Silcox of the 53rd, Clifton of the 131st, Willis of the 55th, Chastain of the 7th, and others. A resolution commending the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline.
Members, this has been a priority of this House over a number of years. We appreciate the House's support on this important issue, and a former member of this House, Commissioner Tanner, is here with us as well today. But I'm going to let the gentleman who sponsored the resolution acknowledge all of our guests who are here. Representative Will Wade is recognized to speak to the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate that very much. And to my colleagues, I think it'd be appropriate if we could rise, because we have the honor today to welcome Georgia's First Lady, the best First Lady in these United States, Miss Marty Kemp. Amen. It's also my true honor to be able to recognize one of our colleagues, our former member of this body, my predecessor, Kevin Tanner, the Commissioner of the Department of Behavioral Health and Disability Services. I'm going to read this briefly, and then I want to just make a comment and then turn it over to our First Lady. So we are commending the 988 Suicide Crisis Lifeline. Whereas behavioral health conditions, including mental and substance use disorders, are critical public health issues, and 988 was established to improve access to crisis services in response to the country's growing suicide and mental health crisis care needs. Our First Lady has led in this effort, and so has Kevin Tanner. And I also want to mention the efforts around human trafficking and sex trafficking, the impact to children. That is a contributor to mental health crisis as well. And those folks, those survivors, have finally had a voice. And I couldn't be more proud than to let you hear from our First Lady.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate all of you. And I want to personally thank you for passing the 10th piece of legislation for human traffickers, not only to help them, but to have harsher penalties on the perpetrators. And I was very honored that Commissioner Tanner asked me to help put the word out on 988 to let everyone know it's okay to not be okay. And I think that's what we need to remind people everywhere, because these tough topics that are hard to talk about, we need to talk about. And every one of you has supported that, and I want to tell you from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for helping so many hardworking Georgians. Appreciate all of you. Thank you. Sorry, turn it over to my great buddy, Commissioner Tanner.
Thank you, Representative Wade, Speaker, First Lady. I just want to again echo the thanks for this body for the work that you've done over many years to make this possible. We receive over 20,000 calls a month just in the state of Georgia to the 988 Center. We dispatch over 5,000 mobile crisis teams every single month in the state. And we have a disproportionate number of those calls coming from rural Georgia and from our agriculture community. So this is something that's used throughout the state. In 2023, only 16% of Georgians had heard of 988. A poll that we did recently, 84% of Georgians have now heard of 988. And a lot of that is because of the work that the First Lady's done helping us spread the word. She's obviously very well known in our state and has really led on a lot of key issues. But we're very thankful that she decided to engage on this, and Georgians' lives are going to be saved as a result of these efforts. So, First Lady, thank you. Thank you, Representative Wade, and thank you to the Georgia General Assembly for all your work. Thank you.
I just want to echo First Lady Marty Kemp. Your dedication to the people of Georgia in so many different ways does not go unnoticed, but especially on 988, working along Commissioner Tanner, and the commitment from this House and to mental health services, the commitment of Governor Kemp. We just can't thank you enough and how impactful that is to every corner of this state. As we like to say, no matter what your zip code, 988 is there, and it is making a difference. So thank you. House members, thank you all for always supporting these initiatives when it comes to mental health. They couldn't do it without us. We couldn't do it without them. So thank you all for y'all's commitment as well. Thanks for being here with us this morning. Okay, members, as we go through these last couple of days, we just need to remind our friends across the building of a couple of facts. You want to come up here? Are you going down there? You're closer down there, whatever, or you could probably bring your members easier down there. So we have a little announcement to remind you of and remind the Senate of. So with that, I'm going to recognize the finest golf team in America, the house golf team right here. So, and the gentleman that champions that golf team, and I think he's the coach and the player. You're a player coach, aren't you? You're a player coach, Chairman Powell? Aren't you a player coach? You're a player coach on the golf team?
Yes, sir.
I think the answer is yes.
Yes, sir. Yes.
He's a player. I don't know about the coach, but he is. So Chairman Powell is recognized, and our golf team from the House. The gentleman's recognized.
Ladies and gentlemen of the House, we are proud to present to you, the members, the cup from the Governor's Cup that the House has now won for 5 consecutive years. Just a brief history to this. This was a tournament that was started back in the 90s, And it was the Senate versus the House versus the governor's office versus the engineers of Georgia. And we've been playing this continuously around the state at different golf courses. Now, when I say you should be proud of this, you're House members, and we all take sports very serious. But we have won this trophy more times than not. And this says a lot for one of the greatest sports that's ever been invented, and that's the game of golf. This is one of those sports that can be played individually or as team play, to be competition, or for nothing more than just get out into nature, because you're not playing against anybody. And those people, and I've been quoted, that golf is a game that you can cheat on your wife, you can cheat on your taxes, but you don't cheat at golf, because you're only cheating yourself about playing against par. I think you need to give all the members of the House golf team a round of applause. And for any of you members who play that would like to be put on the waiting list, we'd like to know who you are. And here's to the Senate, the losers again.
Some things never change. Kickball, golf. I won't go any further.
I didn't say, I just said losers again. I cleaned it up.
Thank you, members of our golf team. I appreciate y'all's dedication for bringing home the Governor's Cup again. Absolutely. I know it was a tough job. Y'all really hated to go down there and play golf. Thank you, members, for your attention. We'll move on to the rules calendar. Move on to the rules calendar. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to Senate Bill 5, SB 5?
Senate Bill 5 by Senator Kirkpatrick, and the 32nd and others to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 46 and Title 33 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to certification of private review agents so as to provide for health insurers to implement and maintain a program that allows for the selective application of reductions. This bill I have referred to the Committee on Insurance. That committee recommends this bill do pass by Rules Committee substitute.
Representative Lee Hawkins, Chairman Hawkins, is recognized to present Senate Bill 5.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You have on your desk Senate Bill 5, substitute as rule substitute. These are two bills that you've heard before and have passed through this House. Last year we did what was termed the gold card bill. This is a bill that each insurer shall utilize a reduced requirement for prior approvals. This is based on the history of the provider. The second bill is the PANS and PANDA bill. I think you're all familiar with this. This requires insurance coverage for PANS and PANDA, which is a very terrifying disease for our young children. Right now, CHOA is actually doing clinical studies on this issue. I wish to give a shout out to them, and also a shout out to Jesse Wethington, who's the director of the Healthcare Alliance of Georgia, the Georgia Healthcare Association, rather, for his work in agreement with the words in these two bills. Mr. Speaker, if there are no questions, I will yield the well.
The gentleman has no questions. Wait, he did have a question last night. Representative Lisa Campbell to your left. If the gentleman will take a question. Representative Campbell.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
He does.
I'm just trying to clarify. You said we had a change on our desks for this bill?
No.
Oh,
you have this bill on your desk, rule substitute.
Okay, thank you. I misunderstood. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Gentleman has no further questions.
Thank you, sir.
Gentleman has yielded well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? Hearing none, the previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to withdrawing the committee substitute? Hearing none, the committee substitute is withdrawn. Is there any objection to adopting the substitute offered by the Committee on Rules? Hearing none, the Rules Committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Hearing none, the report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. Those opposed will vote no. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machine? Have all members voted? All members voted. If so, Mr. Clerk, will you lock the machine? On the passage of Senate Bill 5, the yeas are 169, the nays are 2. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Congratulations, Chairman Scoggins. I know this meant a lot to you, and thank you for your work on this bill. It's a very important bill. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to Senate Bill 173?
Senate Bill 173 by Senator McLaurin, the 14th and others to be entitled, an act to amend Article 3, Chapter 11, and Title 9 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to pleadings and motions so as to authorize move-ants to file notices of uncontested motions in superior courts and state courts. This bill having referred to the Committee on Judiciary, that committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chairman Stan Gunther is recognized to present Senate Bill 173. Representative Gunther.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 173 addresses judicial inefficiencies by creating a process to deal with uncontested motions. Specifically, if a proper pretrial motion is filed and no objection is filed within 60 days, a notice of uncontested motion can be filed with the judge. If the judge does not rule on that motion within 7 days, the motion shall be deemed granted and entered. 173 allows a tolling of that mechanism if a hearing is scheduled by the judge, and also allows the chief judge of the circuit to conduct a review if a judge in their circuit does not rule on multiple motions within a specific time frame. Finally, Senate Bill 173 requires parties to provide copies of motions to courts, as well as to require courts to provide instructions on how parties should provide those copies to the courts. That is the bill. I'll stand for any questions.
Gentleman has no questions.
Thank you.
Gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? Hearing none, the previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? Hearing none, the committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Hearing none, the report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All of those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All of those opposed will vote no. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machine? Have all members voted? All members voted. If so, Mr. Clerk, will you lock the machine? On the passage of Senate Bill 173, the yeas are 168, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to Senate Bill 1717.
Senate Bill 17 by Senator Anna Duarte of the 31st and others, to be entitled an act to amend Article 11 of Chapter 2 of Title 20 and Article 10 of Chapter 3 of Title 38 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to public school property and facilities and statewide first responder building mapping information system. This bill having referred to the Committee on Education. That committee recommends this bill do pass by Rules Committee substitute.
Representative Holt Persinger is recognized to present the bill. Representative Persinger.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a rule substitute on Senate Bill 17, also known as Ricky's and Alyssa's Law. This is just clarifying language on line 57 under the verification for accuracy for the mapping. We just added relevant public safety agencies, school safety personnel, and school administrators on the list of people that can sign off on the accuracy annually, so that they've just recently adopted mapping that they can go ahead and sign off on that again. That's the change in the bill, and I just ask for favorable consideration, and I'll stand for questions.
Representative Ramon, up the center aisle to your left.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
I will.
Thank you. Just really quickly, have there been any providers of this kind of technology, and how has it worked in other places?
We currently have this in our school safety plans. This is just clearing up language to make sure that if they just recently adopted their mapping that they're using now that's required under our school safety plans, I believe we passed in 23, that the school administrators can sign off on that if there's been no change in the building.
Does the gentleman further yield?
Yes.
Just to clarify, so is it the same sort of contractor provider for all of the schools, or is it multiple and we're just trying to get them to talk to each other better?
I believe the schools can hire different agencies depending on who they want to use. It's probably put out for our RFP.
Got it. Thank you.
Chairman Parsons to your left is recognized for a question.
Thank you, Speaker. So, gentleman, yield?
I do.
Yes, sir, I wanted to ask you about Section 4. It says here that the, let's see if I'm looking at this correctly, that the school systems, each school system will implement this mobile panic alert system capable of, and it describes what it's capable of. And then, let's see, on the last page, if I can find it here. The last page that it has 74 through 80, it says that the local boards of education, the local school systems, local governments and agencies, and it goes on to say employees and of school boards and education, boards of education, local school systems, and so on, will be exempt, will be immune from any civil liability for any damages arising out of the creation of this. I'm just curious, I mean, how serious is it that we would have to provide immunity for them for actually even using it, using this mapping that has to be, that they are mandated to create?
I think if there's any unidentified error in the mapping, it's just helping give coverage to if there's something's missing, the error in the mapping.
Okay. If I may ask one more question.
Sure.
On the Section 2, Part 4, at no later than July 21st, 2026, each public school shall implement the system, and it talks about, then it says, and names this Alyssa's alert, and shall integrate with technology used in each local public safety answering point, including but not limited to Next Generation 911. I know that we passed legislation earlier this year that allows the state, creates the ability for the state to use that, but it has not been actually designed. We haven't done anything in code to say exactly what that 911, the Next Generation 911 system actually is. We got a study committee, I think, that is pending to be created for the summer, but it says it'll be, we don't even know what that is. How do we put that in code that's going to integrate with that if we haven't even described what it is yet?
I think this is just looking forward in case that passes or gets done, that this will already be covered.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for your answers. I appreciate it.
Gentleman has one more question. Whip Park, did you have a question? The gentleman's recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
I do.
To the author, I appreciate the intent of having school mapping data. One question that did come to mind is, how is this information going to be secured? Just because we're creating critically important information, which if by a hacker, if they access that, could that then expose the school to additional vulnerability? Speaking again to the immunity aspect of it, can you provide any additional context with respect to how this information would be protected after it's compiled?
Well, it's already protected. We passed this in the school safety bill. This is just an amendment and cleanup, but all that information is protected at the local agencies. Everything's vulnerable.
Additional encryption requirements, things of that nature.
That's
Is it
not
gonna be
written into the bill.
centralized, I'm sorry?
I don't think it's written into the bill, but that's. This is currently happening from our school safety bill, the school safety plans we passed in 23. So whatever is in 23 would be what applies.
Right. Just a note there then, perhaps again, to ensure that this information is protected, whether it's by rule, regulation, or additional legislation, that again, we are taking action to ensure that this information cannot be easily accessible.
Well, I know it's not subject to open records request.
Of course. Thank you.
Majority Leader Illustration is recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
I do.
Sir, is it not true that school records, particularly student records and school security records, are subject to protections already, which are implemented at the local level to ensure that data, that sensitive records, that security information is secured to the extent that's possible under IT standards from hack or from falling into the wrong hands?
That's absolutely correct. Thank you.
And isn't it true that SB 17 is an effort to make sure that law enforcement and emergency personnel have the information that they need to effectively do their jobs?
The leader knows of what he speaks.
All right, I have no further questions. Thank you.
Gentleman's yielding, or does he take another question?
I yield the will.
Gentleman is yielded the will. We do have a speaker on the bill. Representative Betsy Holland is recognized to speak to the bill. Representative Holland, give the lady your attention, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I rise today in support of SB 17. As most of you know, I have a middle schooler at home, and many of you got to meet him on crossover day when he was living his best life as a page all the way till 11 o'clock when we got to go home. Having a middle schooler gives me a different perspective on school safety measures. Fire drills and tornado drills were the norm for most of us growing up. Active shooter drills and lockdowns have been the norm for him since kindergarten. I can't explain what the emotion is when you're on a group text with other school parents and someone texts and says, "The school is on lockdown. Does anyone know why?" And it doesn't feel like you breathe until somebody responds back and says, "It was a false alarm," or "I've heard the all clear." When the shooting happened at Appalachian High School last fall, I waited a day or two before I asked my child if he had heard the news and asked him how it felt. I asked him if it made it feel scary or if it made him feel anxious. And he said, "No, Mom. That school only had one resource officer. Our school has two. When an active shooter comes, we're going to be better prepared." That was the day I realized that my child uses the word when, not if, when he thinks about an active shooter coming to his school. I sometimes have heartburn about the details in these school safety bills, but I've put that aside and hoping I can just tell my child that we will make sure his school is prepared as possible if a bad actor comes on campus. I wish with all my heart I could go home tonight and say what we did today was pass meaningful gun safety reform to try to prevent school shootings in the first place. But we'll get there. We're just not there today. Instead, I'll go home and say once again we did everything we could to try to make sure his school was safe if a bad actor should ever come on campus. I will be supporting this bill, and I ask you to join me in doing the same. Thank you.
Thank you. The lady has yielded the will. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? Hearing none, the previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to withdrawing the committee substitute? Hearing none, the committee substitute is withdrawn. Is there any objection to adopting the substitute offered by the Committee on Rules? Hearing none, the Rules Committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Hearing none, the report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machine? Have all members voted? All members voted. If so, Mr. Clerk, will you lock the machine? On the passage of Senate Bill 17, the yeas are 171, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to Senate Bill 131?
Senate Bill 131 by Senator Hodges III and others to be titled an act to amend Chapter 10 of Title 49 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the Georgia Board of Health Care Workforce so as to provide for the establishment of the Georgia Health Care Professional Status System. This bill has been referred to the Committee on Regulated Industries. That committee recommends this bill do pass by Rules Committee substitute.
Chair Lady Katie, I know you. Katie Dempsey is recognized to present the bill. Lady is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You have on your desk rules substitute to Senate Bill 131. The language from the previous bill has been replaced. This is the exact language, exact measure that we voted on March the 3rd and passed this House by a vote of 170 to 2. It was House Bill 612, which deals with parity, a very important issue to this House always. It does two things, basically. It will add the commissioner, the insurance commissioner, as a member of the Behavioral Health Coordinating Council, and it will also establish a parity compliance review panel of 10 who will be able to help us move the ball forward on parity. There is great concern that reports are not reaching the place where we need them to be, so it will serve as data collection and have the opportunity for this panel to develop the reporting system that will actually help them evaluate the reported concerns. Mr. Speaker, that is what it does. If there are any questions, I'll be glad to take them. If not, I will yield the well.
The lady has a question. Whip Park to your left, right in front. Gentleman's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Chair Lady Dempsey, I look forward to voting yes for this bill. Quick question, though, on lines 95 and 96, as I've been doing an additional review. It says this new panel will have no authority to impose financial penalties. I recognize the effort to create an incentive to report as opposed to a penalty. However, in the event that we continue to see a lack of reporting, even with these sorts of incentives and efforts to encourage, is there some sort of enforcement mechanism or a state agency that could proceed with enforcement if, again, parity is not being met?
The panel will be under the auspices of the behavioral health system. As I understand it, they will be reviewing and trying to move that forward. I do not believe that they will establish the procedures and policies when they get started. So that is how I understand the measure.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lady, yield for another question?
Yes, sir.
Representative Oliver, to your left, is recognized for a question.
Does the lady yield?
Yes, I certainly do.
The purpose of this bill is to highlight and bring forward real data. We're not getting that data in a consistent way from the insurance commissioner as we mandated in 1013. So this is a good step forward, isn't it true? To bring the data forward, we can really understand who is in compliance and who is not in compliance with true parity as required by law.
The lady is correct and knows exactly of what she speaks. Thank you.
Lady has no further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well and ask for your favorable support once again to move this ball forward.
The lady has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? Hearing none, the previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to withdrawing the committee substitute? Hearing none, the committee substitute is withdrawn. Is there any objection to adopting the substitute offered by the Committee on Rules? Hearing none, the Rules Committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Hearing none, the report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. Those opposed will vote no. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machine? Have all members voted? All members voted. If so, Mr. Clerk, will you lock the machine? On the passage of Senate Bill 131, the yeas are 166, the nays are 3. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Members, I hope you'll help me welcome a former member of this House, Representative Fran Millar. He did go to the dark side. He did go to the dark side, but he's still a pretty good guy. So let's make Fran welcome back to the chamber. He was initiated in right here. Hope reigns eternal. He came back to his roots, no doubt about that. Let's see. Members, we'll take up a couple of agrees and disagrees. This one would be an agree. Representative McCollum is recognized for a motion. Representative McCollum.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the House agree to the Senate substitute to HB 575.
Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption, please?
House Bill 575 by Representative McCollum of the 30th to be entitled an act to amend Title 32 of the Official Code of Georgia Antenna relating to highways, bridges, and ferries so as to authorize notice of certain public hearings by the Department of Transportation by electronic publication.
Representative McCollum is recognized to explain his motion and the Senate substitute.
HB 575 is the exact bill that we passed out of the House, except for they changed in committee lines 109 to 111. The Senate decided to change the language which impede the flow of traffic is determined and requested by the Department of Public Safety, Law Enforcement, and designated fire department personnel. The department agreed. I'll stand for any questions.
The gentleman has no questions.
Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to say I didn't have to get any help from the gallery this time or freeze up.
As I told you last time, we're both a work in progress. We're going to get there.
Yes, sir, and I yield the well.
Gentleman's yielded the well. Good job. On the gentleman's motion, the House agreed to the Senate substitute to House Bill 575. All those in favor will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machines? Have all members voted? All members voted. If so, Mr. Clerk, will you lock the machine? On the gentleman's motion, the yeas are 167, the nay is 1, and the House has agreed to the Senate substitute to House Bill 575. Representative Lumsden is recognized for a motion. Chairman Lumsden.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we agree to the Senate substitute of House Bill 94.
Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption?
House Bill 94 by Representative Lumsden to the 12th, be entitled an act to amend Chapter 24, Title 33 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to insurance generally so as to require coverage for certain expenses for standard fertility preservation services.
Representative Lumsden is recognized to explain the Senate substitute to House Bill 94. Chairman Lumsden.
Mr. Speaker, members, House Bill 94 is a bill that we passed out prior to crossover. It's the fertility preservation bill. The only change that was made in the Senate was they removed all state plans from the coverage, which we thought we had that covered when we sent it over to them, but there was something that was found there, so the Senate substitute simply removed the coverage in the state plans.
Gentlemen, yield.
I yield.
Whip Park is recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Lumsden, thank you for explaining the change. Can you help me understand why state plans were removed for purposes of this health benefit?
Generally, when we are dealing with insurance related coverage, particularly as it pertains to the state of Georgia, the cost to the state of Georgia, that had not been worked out. So the private plans are okay with this. So all this is doing is applying to the private plans. We'll work on that part of it as we go into the next session.
Thank you, sir.
Representative Silcox, Chairlady Silcox, right up the center aisle on your right, is recognized for a question.
Does the gentleman yield?
I do.
Isn't it true that this will allow women who have suffered terribly from all kinds of cancer to still have children?
Yes, that's the entire purpose.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you bringing the bill.
Mr. Speaker, I yield well.
You had one more question. Would you yield for Representative Al? Dr. Al's, Representative Al is recognized for a question to your left in the back.
Yes.
Thank you. Does the gentleman yield?
I do.
Just as a clarification to the whip's question, so you said that the bill as amended by the Senate no longer manages state health benefit plans. It only applies to private health insurance plans?
Correct.
In my understanding of how ERISA law works, do we have the power to regulate private health insurance?
non-ERISA plans.
Non-ERISA plans. Okay. Thank you.
I yield the well.
Gentleman's yielded the well. On the gentleman's motion that the House agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 94, all those in favor will vote yes, those opposed will vote no. Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machine? Have all members voted? All members voted? If so, Mr. Clerk, will you lock the machines? On the gentleman's motion, the yeas are 162, the nays are 3, and the House has agreed to the Senate substitute to House Bill 94. Representative Lumsden is recognized for a motion.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the House agree to the Senate substitute of House Bill 182 as amended by the House.
Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption?
House Bill 182 by Representative Lumsden to the 12th to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 25 of Title 33 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to life insurance so as to prohibit a policy of group life insurance from excluding or restricting liability for certain deaths occurring while an individual is on active duty.
Representative Lumsden is recognized to explain the Senate substitute and the House amendment. Gentleman's recognized.
Mr. Speaker, House Bill 182 is the same as House Bill 410, which is a Department of Insurance cleanup bill. This is a bill that we passed out unanimously a few weeks ago, 164 to 0. We removed the portion of the original portion of 182, and the amendment is the same as House Bill 410. And the only change that in the amendment was surrounding the language around the confidentiality draft report. Simply inserts language that was approved by the National Association of Insurance Commissioners model law. So those were the changes, sir. I appreciate your favorable consideration.
Gentlemen, you have a question?
Yes.
Representative Jasmine Clark to your left is recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Did the gentleman yield?
Yes.
So is it my understanding that the original House Bill 182, which we did vote out, that dealt with life insurance, is no longer, none of that language is in this new version of House Bill 182?
That is not in this bill, but there was an identical bill to 182 that was introduced in the Senate, Senate Bill 209, which we passed out of this chamber several weeks ago. So it's already on the governor's desk, ready for signature.
Thank you.
All right.
Gentleman has no further questions.
Thank you, sir. I yield the way.
Gentleman's yielded well. Thank you for the explanation. Is there any objection to adoption of the House amendment? Hearing none, the House amendment is adopted. On the gentleman's motion that the House agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 182 as amended by the House, all those in favor will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machines? Have all members voted? For what purposes Representative Bernal rise? She waves. All members voted. If so, Mr. Clerk, will you lock the machines? On the gentleman's motion, the yeas are 166, the nays are 2, and the House has agreed to the Senate substitute to House Bill 182 as amended by the House. Members, if you have pages, join me down front with your pages. We're going to take a little lunch break here. I'm getting hungry. We have a couple of announcements before we recess for lunch. Members, if you have pages, join us down front. Chairman Corbett. Excuse me, end of day. Chairman Parrish, is this now or the end of the day? Well, that's now then. I'm ready. Chairman of Rules is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to ask for the members of the Rules Committee to meet me in room 341 at 1:30. 1:30, room 341. Thank you.
Members, this House will stand in recess until 2 p.m. 2 p.m. House will stand in recess until 2 p.m. Thank you, members.